higher. Um, okay, there's always more. There's always things to do. Okay, we're
Yeah.
on Nun number base. We're on 50b. We got into this very. It's a little long. This sugya, this discussion. It's a very interesting discussion. Is this the what is the main thing of song when the Torah says that the Leviim they have to go ahead and sing in the Mikdash, and that was a service that was called an avodah. That was their service in the Beit Hamikdash. What is the key? Is the key the singing, or the key besides the singing is the music an integral part of the singing, or it's not an integral part of the singing? If it's an integral part of the singing, the Gemara says, then you would be able to play the musical instruments on Shabbat. If the music is not an integral part of the singing, then you would not be able to play the music. That's one opinion in the Gemara. That we're going to see later on, there's going to be difference of opinion, but one opinion understands that we find a dispute in a Braita whether the music can be played on Shabbat in the Beit Hamikdash or not. So there's two rabbis disagree whether you could play the music or you can't play the music. So one rabbi comes along and says the discussion over here is regarding the korban, the music on a korban, that every day, every morning by the daily korban, every afternoon by the afternoon korban, the Levium, Ralph was going to be busy singing. But the question was that singing on Shabbat, would they be able to play while they're singing? Would they be able to play the music as well? That is how the rabbi understood this dispute. But if it was the singing at the Simchat Beit HaShoeva, this rabbi said no previous rabbi would go on record to say that you could sing at the Simchat Beit HaShoeva with music on Shabbat or Yom Tov. That the Simchat Beit HaShoeva that was performed on Yom Tov in honor of the pouring of the water on the Mizbeach, the idea of singing is there's no Torah mitzvah to go ahead and sing at that event, and therefore the rabbi's general prohibition of playing music would apply at the Simchat Beit HaShoeva of Yom Tov, of Sukkot that comes out on Shabbat, or when it comes out on Yom Tov, they would be restricted to play music. That's what the rabbi wanted to understand, and he wanted but the argument whether you can play music or not is on Shabbat is specifically by the music that's accompanying the offering, the korban, and the reason for the argument is that the rabbis are disputing whether Ikka Shira Bikli, the main song is with a utensil, with the instruments, or the Ikka Shira, the main song is Bepeh, with the mouth, and the instruments are not an integral part of the singing. And that's what the Gemara wanted to say. And then the Gemara said, where did he find this idea that there should be an argument? Do we ever find an argument of whether the main song is with the musical instruments or the main song is with the mouth? Where did he said that's what they're arguing about, and he says I found somewhere else that shows me this point, that there is such a dispute of whether the main song is with your mouth or the main song is with the instruments. Where did he find it? He found a different dispute, not regarding singing, regarding the utensils that are used in the Beit HaMikdash, the kli sharet, the ministering utensils, the things that you use, whether it's the menorah, whether it's other things that you flip over the meat on the mizbeach, whatever the utensils that you use, can it be made out of wood, or it has to be made out of a metal? So we have a dispute in that. There's one opinion that says that if you made it out of wood, it's still good. And now obviously it would seem that ideally maybe it's more honorable to make it out of gold, something more honorable, just like any mitzvah you should do. When you do a mitzvah, you do it in the best way. But if you cannot perform it out of gold, you could one opinion says you can actually make it out of wood. The other opinion says no, you could go ahead and actually metal. If you don't do gold, you can do some other metal, but not out of wood. And so we found an argument over there. And what was the basis for that argument? Whether I can make a utensil that I use that's used during the service in the Beit HaMikdash, whether it can be made out of gold or not, or wood or not. I'm sorry, made of wood or not, because we found the flute of Moshe. Moshe, in the time of the Mishkan, in the Beit HaMikdash, in the Mishkan, not the Beit HaMikdash, in the Mishkan, the Levium were singing and they were playing musical instruments. And we know we have a tradition that the flute that was used by Moshe Rabbeinu's time in the Mishkan was made out of wood. It was made out of wood. Morning, Mark. It was made out of wood. It was a wooden flute. So now that it was made out of wood, one opinion holds that since Moshe Rabbeinu used a wooden flute and for the singing, and because this opinion holds that the singing is that the flute, that the musical instrument is an integral part of the service, and yet they use wood. So it shows you that wood is it shows you that why is it that they were able to use wood? Moshe Rabbeinu was able to use wood for the musical instruments. The flute was made out of wood. Why is wood? Because it shows you that wood is good enough, because it's a utensil, it's an instrument that's needed for the song of the Levium, and since it's an integral utensil, according to that's how he understands that opinion. That's why we see an integral utensil could be made out of wood. However, the other opinion says no proof of Moshe Rabbeinu. Why not? Because the main song is with your mouth. The main song is with your mouth. The fact that Moshe Rabbeinu used a utensil made out of wood, that has no bearing on us, because you don't need that utensil. It's not needed. Something that's needed in the mikdash, that's needed for the service, and it's made out of wood, that would be a great proof that a utensil can be made out of wood and serving the Beit HaMikdash. But if you don't need it at all, so you can't use it as a precedent that utensils serving the Beit HaMikdash can be made out of wood. If it's not needed at all, it's like extra. So the Gemara wants to say, we have on record that Moshe Rabbeinu used the flute, that he didn't use, whatever the people use the flute. Morning, Nathan. The people use a flute at the Mishkan of Moshe Rabbeinu. So that's on record. And the flute was used for what? Accompanying the singing of Nathan and Ralph, of Levium. What did you say, Mark? It was made out of wood. So this is the given fact. It was made out of wood. It was used to accompany the song of Levium. So one opinion says the same way they used the flute made out of wood by Moshe Rabbeinu's time, you could go ahead and use other utensils in the Beit HaMikdash made out of wood. The other rabbi says you can't learn from Moshe Rabbeinu. The fact that they use wood for the music, for the instruments, cannot shed light on tell us that you could use wood for other instruments, other utensils in the Beit HaMikdash. Now, why not? Why shouldn't there be a good proof? They used wood as the musical instrument in the singing. Why shouldn't we be able to apply it to other service in the Beit HaMikdash? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to. The Gemara is holding that you would be able to use, it would be able to last. It's not that the wood wouldn't last for other kalim. At least certain things that there's a broad amount of things that they use in the mikdash. So one rabbi wants to say, you know what they're arguing about? I know, yeah. So the Gemara says, you know what most probably is a dispute they're arguing about? They're arguing about, was the flute of Moshe in the Mishkan an integral part of the service of the singing of the Levium? If it's an integral part of the service, you rest my case. I proved that you make something out of wood. If it's not an integral part of the service, you can't prove anything. In fact, they used wood that wasn't needed. You won't even need it. You can't prove it. So they used wood, but you use wood for other utensils that are needed. You can't prove it. That was extra, and this is not extra. Right. So they use the instrument. The question is, number one is, so he wants this, the wood, there's a dispute. Could you use wood or not use wood for other utensils? But the question is, can you learn from the precedent that Moshe Rabbeinu used a wooden flute, or his time they used a wooden flute? Would that shed light that all other utensils in Mishkan, the Beit HaMikdash, could be made out of wood? That's the question. All of the utensils. Maybe the way, maybe there's a way to make menorah. I mean, maybe if you have if you would have a glass on the top, a glass cup, make it out of wood. I think you would be pretty safe. It would protect it. Okay. You tell me. You tell me. Get other answer. Get other answer. Right. Right. Very good. The question is, could vessels being used in the Beit HaMikdash, not musical instrument, not the musical instrument of the flute, could other, but the truth of the matter is at this point of the Gemara, the same question would be, let's form it the way the Gemara says. Utensils made out of wood in the Beit HaMikdash, would it be fine? Would it be accepting or not? One opinion says yes. One opinion says no. One opinion says yes because we found Moshe Rabbeinu. They had a flute made out of wood. Right. Did not. So we don't know that. We don't know. If other vessels would have. Right. No, but we don't know if it would have been kosher. If it would have made out of wood. Meaning, let's say we know Let's say they made it out of gold. But the question is, if you don't have gold to make it out of, can you make it out of something else? That's the question. So, and there was a time period in a certain I think the second Beit HaMikdash, that they made the menorah originally out of bronze, and then they made it out of stem. When they got a little more wealthier, more affluent to people, they were able to afford silver, and then they finally were able to afford gold. I mean, even though the Torah says make it out of gold, so gold is the way it's the gold for the menorah. But yet, if you made it out of other metals, it also would be, but not out of wood. They didn't make it out of wood, the menorah. But so right. So the only thing on record, that we have that they made it out of wood was the flute that we know they made out of wood. Oh, very good. Because Nathan and Ralph singing, so that's the question. Singing of the Levium is a service. The Torah calls it an avodah. You're doing a service. Same way we pray, it's called an avodah. Prayer is called avodat halev, lovdo b'chol levavchem. You serve with your heart. You serve with your song. But the question is, so one opinion wants to say that the instrument is an integral part of the song. Yeah. Now, if it's an integral part of the song, then it becomes like any other vessel. If you hold, that's what this rabbi wants to say, that song, that music, the musical instrument is an integral part. It's just like the service of the song. So then he rests his case. Then it's a proof that you could make all of the utensils made out of wood. But if you say that the flute is an extra, some people have extra. The song is the real service. So the fact that they made it out of wood, the flute by Moshe, has no proof to other utensils which are integral needed for the Mishkan. Now it's clear. Good. Okay. It's a lot going on in the Gemara. So the Gemara says no. Go up to low. That's go up to on the 50b2 bottom column. Low. The kuli alma ikashira bekli. Everybody holds no proof. Maybe the fact that they're arguing by making utensils can you make utensils out of wood or not out of wood, it's not because of the issue of whether the main song is with the mouth or the main song is with utensil. Everybody could hold that you need to have the music, you need to have the instruments in order for it to be a proper song. It's not called song without musical instruments. When the Torah says that the Levium have to sing, it's not just they have to sing. It means included in the word singing. It's like you're hiring a band. You hire a band. Just only singers show up. I'm hiring. You have to have people playing music. So when the Torah says that Levium have to do avodah, the Torah is saying that they have to do musical instruments as well. So now, if that's the case, then everybody should say you can make all utensils out of wood, because the instruments, the musical instruments are an integral part of the singing. And Moshe Rabbeinu had something made out of wood. So if he had it made out of wood, so we should be able to prove that all utensils should be able to be made out of wood. Morris, am I being clear? So the Gemara says no. You know why? A little bit what Nathan opened up with, the Gemara, you'll see how the Gemara is going to take it in a similar concept. Could you learn something when it's possible and something where it's not possible? What does that mean? A flute, a certain king asked they should make a flute out of gold, and they made a flute out of gold, and the sound did not come out good. In order for a sound of the flute to be a proper sound, it had to be made out of wood, not made out of gold. So even if it's an integral part of the service of the song, that it has to be a musical instrument, but you don't have a possibility to make it out of a metal. You can't make it out of gold. Why? Because it can't work if it's made out. So the fact that there is a precedent on the books that you can make an integral part of the service, an item that's needed for the service, can be made out of what? Wood, but you can't use it as a proof that we can make other utensils out of wood. There it was made out of wood because there was no option. You had no other way to do it. But here, when you have the ability to make it out of gold, other utensils, you can make it out of other materials. Maybe you can't make it out of wood. So that's what the Gemara wants to suggest. That's what the two rabbis are arguing. One rabbi says, listen, at the end of the day, it's an integral part, and the end of the day it was made out of wood. So I don't care. We're not going to look at the fact that you couldn't have no other option. The fact is, it was acceptable, a utensil, a ministering utensil, a kli to be used, made out of wood. Therefore, I'm going to learn on everything else from there. The other rabbi says, no. You can't prove it. There you had no other option. You couldn't make it out of other material. But you can make it out of material. Maybe wood is not acceptable. Obviously, wood is a very low grade type of item compared to making out of a metal. And you're dealing in the Beit HaMikdash, you're dealing in a holy place. So maybe it's not acceptable to make something out of, just like we find the concept. Yeah, many things are, but the question is, if you don't have, right. The question is, what happens if you would not have that material? Like we said, the Torah talks about the menorah. The Torah says make it out of gold. Also, we're going to see the Gemara is going to say that sometimes when the Torah describes the menorah and describes gold, sometimes it refers to it in a specific sense, then it refers to the menorah in a global sense, with not being specific. So sometimes when the Torah talks in generalization and specific, sometimes it can mean something similar to the specific. The lechem upon him, I think that the table was also gold. I have to look up the copper, gold, and silver. There were things that made of silver, but right. So the Gemara says like this. Look, the Kuli Alma. Right, but they were all covered with gold. I mean, even the Shulchan, even the Aron was wood covered with gold. Now, so the Gemara says,
basically, they had no choice. The glue made out of any other material wasn't working.
Correct. Exactly. So that's what the Gemara says. So Masav Madim Machshir, the one who says, now on the top of 50b2, the one that says it's kosher, if it's made out of other materials, made out of wood, he holds done in efsham mishi'efsham. You can learn out an item that you can make out of multiple materials from an item that can only be made out of one material. The fact is, it was made out of wood. You could apply it to other places. And the one that says you cannot use other utensils in the mikdash from wood, he says savalo danin efsham mishi'efsham. You cannot learn something when you can make it out of some other materials besides wood, you can't learn it out from something where you had no other choice but to make it out of wood. That is one approach possible, you could say. The Ibayit Ema, the Gemara says, I have a different approach. The Kuli Alma Ikashir Bipek. It's possible that both these rabbis who are arguing regarding utensils in the Mikdash can be made out of wood or not, maybe they all hold the main song is with the mouth. The main song is with the mouth, and therefore, if the main song is with the mouth, then really it's not an integral, and it's not an integral part. The utensils are not an integral part of the song of the Levium. And let's see, and even if you go and therefore, and even if you're going to say that, the Rashi says, and even if you're going to say that they do need to have a musical instrument, still you cannot learn out from Moshe Rabbeinu. Why can't you learn out from Moshe Rabbeinu? Meaning, even if you hold that, like we just said a moment ago, even if you hold that it's a key element, the musical instruments are a key element in the song, you cannot learn out from Moshe Rabbeinu because the ain't done in efsha mishi efsha. You cannot learn out. Everybody would hold. Now the Gemara is saying that's possible. Everybody holds. You cannot learn out something which is possible from something which is not possible. If it's not possible to make it out of wood, out of gold, you can't learn anything else from there. So what is the argument? So what is the argument of these two rabbis? The Gemara says this is the argument. What are they arguing about? The question is, how do you understand the psukim? How do you read the psukim of the Torah when it talks about the menorah? What does it say? Rebbe, the Gemara says, Darish Klaleya Prati. Rebbe is going to darshan, he's going to expound on the pasuk in the way of klal, prat, or klal. The Gemara is going to explain, we'll see that with these in a minute. And Yosef Yehuda Sava Darish Ribuyu Miute. And he's going to have a different way to expound on the pasuk. Now, what does this mean exactly? So Rashi explains very well. Let's look at the Rashi. We're going to go through the Rashi. This is going to be necessary. We're talking in the Gemara if the musical instruments are an integral part of the song. Rashi is an integral part of the Gemara. And to understand this point, we need to have this Rashi. It's 3 lines. And if we get into the lower down in the Gemara, in the break, it's right over here. It's about 3 lines into the first of the wide lines of the Gemara. This is the text. The text is this. The question is, do you learn menorah b'klali prat? Now he's going to explain the following. Torah. Some expound the Torah b'klal prat in a forms of generalization. Torah sometimes focuses generalization, specific. The Torah is saying adding something and excluding something. And I'll explain what this means. If you darshan in a generalization and a specific, the Torah says a generalization. And after it says a generalization, let's say it says behema, animal, or it says menorah. Menorah means all types of what it says. If I tell you the word menorah, what does it sound like? Any type of, if I say menorah, you can make it out of any material. But then I tell you gold. So gold should be saying, this opinion holds. If you say a general and then a specific, I am telling you, what do I mean when I say menorah? I said, I want you to make a menorah, and then which could imply anything, but then I tell you, zahav. I wanted gold. So gold explains the word menorah, which would mean I only could do gold. If I tell you, like Mark was asking before, Rabbi, the Torah was very specific about it. So the Gemara is saying here, If I would just have a general statement followed by a specific statement, that's called a klal, prat. The specific statement explains exactly what I mean when I said the general rule. And it's only, and it's very specific, only go. Now, hilkach, klal prat, ein bechlal amasha prat. I would only know that specific item gold. Va'afilu dvarim hadorim leprat ein idarimo. And even the things that are similar to the prat, similar to the specific gold, metals are similar, silver, copper, but doesn't do the trick. I mean only that. What do I mean when I said menorah? I mean zahav. I mean gold, and that's it. Then, but then the Torah goes and it says another generalization after the prat. It says menorah, which indicates anything. Zahav, gold, which seems specific, only gold. And then I say menorah again. I go and I talk in a general term. The Torah talks in general. The generalization after the specific. What is that coming to add? That addition, that extra. Now I'm saying. Then I tell you menorah broad. So what is that coming to add? Balahosif alav coming to add. But now what do you add? So it's enough to add things that are similar to the specific item that was mentioned. So if I said menorah, then I said zahav, I meant only gold. But now that I say menorah, so now I'm coming to add anything similar to that detail of gold, which would include metals. Wood is in a different category. It's not in the category of metals. Hilkach, iyatadan, ayidei klal. We're now in the first of the widest lines of the page. With 5 lines from the bottom of the page. In the middle of the line. You would only be able to add on things that are similar to the specific thing. These were never added to begin with. Now, that's the way if you hold klal or klal or klal. And if you go in the other way, you call it riba, addition and exclusion. Lo mashmale prat habacha klal pirush klal. He understands if you have this generalization and then you say a specific, he says it's not the specific item, it's not just saying it has to be explaining the generalization and it only has to be gold. The name Ella Masha, to say Ein Bechal Masha Prat, he doesn't say it only means that. Ella Mishum the Klal Kama Nisra B'Hakol B'Mashman. The first generalization, I said menorah. Menorah means everything. Bless you. So if the menorah means everything, make a menorah. It means gold, silver, wood, and then you tell me a specific gold. So what is gold coming to tell me? Ati pratan, not like the other rabbis, the gold means only gold, and then you need the next cloud to add other metals. He says when the Torah says menorah in general, then it says gold. Ati pratan batan lemuti mashmata. It's coming to exclude from the implication of all types of materials. I'm coming to diminish. I don't mean all type of materials. I'm coming to exclude. And then it comes again, the klal at the end, which comes to add, ahani rilubui kol mili the elu dvarim she'ein kein aprat. When the second generalization comes, again, the first generalization meant everything. Then it's specific. It says zahav. It says gold. So gold is coming to exclude everything. Now, it doesn't mean everything. Now, exactly, we have to see what does that mean. What does it mean? What it does mean? It doesn't mean everything. And now it comes the second generalization afterwards. It comes to include anything. Let's see. Hani would be kol mile. The elu dvarim coming to include. That's going to include everything. The second generalization is going to include everything. The elu dvarim she'ein kein aprat lo itzrich. The things that are like the prat, things that are like the specific zahav, we don't need it. So he's saying like this: when the Torah says menorah includes everything, when it comes and it says zahav, gold, it doesn't mean only gold. It means gold, and it can mean gold, and it can mean other other metals as well.
Once you go specific, the name is specific.
Right. Right. Very good. Right. But he's saying, right. He's just saying that there is we are excluding. Right. But they, right. So he's understanding when you say in generalization, that generalization comes to include everything. Then if you're being specific doesn't mean it only. This is the only thing that you could use. Not like the first rabbi understood. Specific is coming to tell you, I am excluding something. Something is being excluded. I don't want just everything. Because if I want everything, I could just leave it at menorah. So the fact that I tell you I'm being specific, that means I want something. I want something. There is something that I want. That's the first opinion. But the second opinion says that I'm not coming to exclude everything. I'm coming to exclude something. Yes.
Coming to limit, you don't know what gold, you now are excluding things that aren't metal, but you are excluding.
Right. There is such a thing that the Gemara says, like what Nathan is saying. The fact that Torah says you don't have to do all 39. You just do one. That shows you that one is enough to bring a korban. You don't have to violate all 39. So sometimes it teaches by being specific. So here, comes the general. This opinion says the first word menorah means everything. The second word, when it says zahav, it's coming to exclude some items. It's not coming to be everything, because if it's just everything, just say menorah. But then comes the next rule, the next generalization, which comes back to include so many things. Because now that you tell me another general word afterwards, after being specific, then you went again, and then you went general again. You went general, then you went specific, and you went again general. So what? So now what do we got on the deal? So now that you're going general again, then you're including everything. But you're including everything, but you told me, but you were specific about something. So this rabbi says, okay, so I'm going to include everything as all other metals. And not only all the, and all the, I'm going to even include wood. Wood would be included. Right. The third generalization says menorah again. We're going to say the word, it says menorah, then it says gold, then it says menorah. So the fact that it says menorah again, it's coming to include everything, including wood. So now if it's coming to include wood, because other metals we already knew. When it says the first thing, generalization, then it says gold, gold did not knock out all other metals. Gold itself maybe would have knocked out wood, but it wouldn't knock out. It's very good. It's going to knock out earthenware. If you're going to make it out of clay, if you're going to make the menorah out, that's a different level. If you're going to make it, which is the lowest level to make a menorah out of. Good morning. The lowest level to make it out of is what? Is clay, earthenware. That's the lowest level menorah, and that's what the gold is coming to exclude. The specificity of gold mark is coming to exclude earthenware, because metals we already know. All metals are going to be good. So therefore, and not only metals, we also know wood. You can make the menorah out of wood according to this opinion. And what it's coming to exclude, it's coming to exclude something which is so much not like this item. So like if it's made out of wood, and therefore you will not be able to use wood. We'll continue tomorrow. It's a very complicated, sophisticated Gemara as we're learning. We have to, we'll say Kaddish. Amen.
יום הקרובים לכל בית ישראל בערב, זמן תארים למנוע אמן. ואלה שמונה דבר ודרך, וכולנו נביא אביה יתברך, ושבת, ועד וכולם ותעשה, ודעת ותעלה ותעלה, ושמת ותשעבד, ליל עמית פה וחטא, שירתה, תשבעתה, והחלטה, תמרבה, אמן. על ישראל ועל רבנן ועל תמדיהון ועל כל תמדיהון תשים בלידה קדישתה דין ואתה תהדי מכל אדר ואדר ואלן כל נעד אמן דין כבודם מראה שמיה ורעב ודרו אמן יהא שלומר רבה בי שמיה חיי ושבע ושועה ונחמה שזבה ופועה ופולה וסליחה וכפרה ורבע סלם ומצטער במלוא אמן עושה שלום בתרומה וברחמה ויעשה שלום בברכה. Thank you, Rabbi.
You too, thank you. You look good, what are you talking about? Right, very good. Rabbi Shmuel has to clarify the cloud. Yeah, exactly.